The way that Marvel's showing us how to forge government documents. And they say you can't learn anything from comics. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek Chic, and we are back with another reaction to Moon Knight. We're now into episode 3, which is called The Friendly Type. So, last episode, we got a little bit more insight into the situation that's happening between Steven and Mark. We definitely got a little bit more Mark that episode, so we got to see a bit more of how he works and how different he is from Steven. But we also got to understand what's going on with this whole situation with Khonshu and with the other Amit's avatar. I'm gonna get his name one of these days, I promise. And kind of why we're in this situation of them not wanting Amit's tomb to be found, because we discovered last episode that Amit is not a very nice god. So now Steven kind of knows the deal, at least as far as this gods and the reason why Mark is doing what he's doing, but they still seem to be at odds about who should be in control, since Steven still feels that Mark's being a little bit too violent, and understandably so. So we kind of ended the episode with the fact that Amit's servant now has this compass, and now they're in Egypt because no doubt they're going to be looking for this tomb. And I guess we're going to have a bit of a race to see who gets there first. We were also introduced to Mark's wife, aka Steven's wife, I guess, too. And we now know that she's been part of the adventure and the hijinks since day one. But she doesn't know the full situation with the split personalities, and she definitely does not know about the deal with Khonshu. So that's going to make things even more dicey, I think, as it unfolds, because I have no doubt that she's going to show up in Egypt any day now. So I'm ready to get into this episode, but before I do, if it's your first time to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. If you really like what you see here, I'd appreciate it so much if you hit that thumbs up button and you leave a comment below, subscribe, join the family. We're trying to get to 10K here. We're getting closer every day, and we'd love to have you here. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Same goes for you. Please like, subscribe, and leave some comments below. I love reading them and getting involved in that conversation with you. All right, that out of the way, guys, let's get into episode 3 right about now.
Oh, he's probably going to get himself killed running around Cairo.
Oh, fake passport. Why?
All those stolen relics and cheeky antiques.
I don't steal. They've already been stolen.
Facts. Thank you for that. Little Black Panther throwback. You can't steal what's been stolen. Look at the way that Marvel's showing us how to forge government documents. And they say you can't learn anything from comics.
You think his dig sites were any place for a child?
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna lie, it sounded like she said dick size for a second. I was like, wait, what?
Just avoid your old haunts.
She's totally gonna go to all of her old haunts now. She's worried. It's all over her face, but hey, she's grown and that's her man, so. And she's totally right. Steven will definitely get them killed if he decides to make a reappearance. He needs help. Did all these people come from England? That must have been an interesting flight.
She's here.
Not for nothing, but that equipment doesn't seem sufficient to start digging through ancient rock. But hey, you guys go hard.
Oh, wow. Oh. What are we dancing? We fighting? What are we gonna do?
Right? I'm like, is this a musical? What's happening? Okay, you are 12. Why are you not in school? Yes, you Will Smith him. Okay, if he picks up that knife again, though, you might have to hurt him. Oh. I didn't even see that. Mark's like, I'm a married man. Thank you very much.
Mark. Don't do it, Mark. Stop being him.
Steven, you're gonna get him killed.
Wait. Stop.
Hey guys, remember me?
Let me talk to you.
He's like, we already talked. Mark, I really feel like you shouldn't have done any of this until you figured out the Steven situation, because if you black out in the middle of this street.
Where's Harrow? Tell me. Mark, that's enough.
I'm so over Steven right now. I understand, but I'm pissed. Oh, I thought maybe he killed... Did he kill the kid?
Stephen, what did you do?
I swear it wasn't me.
Then who was it?
Take him to the ledge.
He's just a kid.
He'll talk.
I mean, he's pretty stubborn. You gotta give him props. He's pretty loyal to his little group there. Are there scales on him somewhere? This kid's probably gonna push off.
Praise Omit.
Yeah, see, with religious folk, they take that really seriously.
I thought he'd talk.
Okay, maybe we don't listen to the immortal god who doesn't really care about human life again.
I didn't do any of this.
Me neither. Listen, if you've got a problem with the body count, I suggest you start listening to that.
There's a third, because if Stephen didn't do it and he didn't do it.
Anger them enough, and they'll imprison me in stone.
That's not my
Why
problem,
does it sound so bad to me?
right?
Sending the gods a signal they can't ignore.
The gods have a signal like Batman? Don't worry, guys, just having a complete lunar eclipse.
Yes, but for a meeting of the Ennead, a portal presents itself anywhere.
Ooh, we like portals?
A case against Harrow must be indisputable.
That's all you got?
Oh, I'll be there.
Khonshu's really not useful at all. It's like, you've been around, you know these gods, you could give me a briefing, you could give me a little rundown so I know what I'm going into, but no, I'll just go in there as the new guy who actually has, like, possibly several personalities running around in my head and try to, like, argue for my case.
Yatsil, avatar of Hathor,
Okay,
goddess of music and love.
cool.
Why wasn't I selected for that? That's what I would have been asking.
Has Khonshu told you how this works?
Not really.
No,
Is there something I should know?
I got nothing.
You've been banished once for nearly exposing us, Khonshu.
Oh.
I was banished for not abandoning humanity unlike the rest of you.
We have not abandoned humanity.
You sure?
They abandoned us.
Oh, a little of both.
We decided long ago we did not wish to meddle in the affairs of man.
Sounds very familiar. The Eternals.
But speak, old master, to the point.
Do you not seek to release Amit from her tomb?
I was in the desert.
The way Oscar must have been laughing between takes.
His vision is obscured by jealousy, paranoia, and
He's a deceiver!
do not trust.
Why are you so extra?
He has a marriage certificate under the name Mark Speck.
Liar!
Employment records under the name
Stop.
Stephen Grant.
It's true.
I have no idea how many personalities he must possess. The man.
Damn.
We will not tolerate violence in this
Really?
chamber.
Oh, okay.
Khonshu is taking advantage of him. The same way that he abused me.
Oh no, not the fake victim story.
Are you unwell?
Well, yeah. Actually.
This is a safe space for you to tell us. If you
Wow, this
feel
became a therapy
exploited.
session. How interesting. With gods. She took her time about leaving. That's interesting. She might be able to help you, Mark. She is the goddess of love, and it looks like she's got a little something something for Khonshu too. Okay.
Find Senfu's sarcophagus and you'll find your tomb.
Ooh, we're going on a tomb raid. Thanks. See the power of love. Thank goodness she feels something for Khonshu's little bird brain ass.
Come with me. I'll help you find what you need.
I mean, she's a local. I think you should get, she can help you. I think you gotta listen to her. And besides, you've already dragged her into this, so.
I am sorry. For whatever that's worth.
A lot, because she still loves you, clearly. Party boat, yeah! Let's do it! Why are you looking at him like that? Aren't you getting divorced?
We could have handled it together.
Yeah.
Could we?
Yeah.
Maybe. A little too late for that now, though.
Is it? When it comes to love, it's never too late. I don't blame him, though. This is a very deep well of crazy and BS, and I know he's trying to protect her, but I honestly have no idea if it's better for him to tell her the truth now or not.
That's an interesting little detail to give to him.
Well, I'd tell them you worked at a gift shop, but they'd never believe me, would they?
Well, you know, this is where you could bring Steven out. This is where the whole disorder thing could actually work in your favor. Steven, you know, he's very convincing as a bumbling shop clerk, so that would be disarming. Why does that guy look like a shrunken Terry Crews?
He's such interest in Senfu in particular.
Oh, actually, our purchases
I'm sorry, but I'd like to hear from your husband, if you don't mind.
She's got a brain in her mouth. Why do you need to talk to me?
There's no location indicated.
Because the information has to be unlocked. It's coded.
Ah.
Will you give me a minute? I gotta talk to Steven. Just keep him occupied.
I need to talk to myself and make it look like I'm not talking to myself. If you could just distract them with, I don't know, flash him or something.
He just needs a couple of minutes in there alone. He's
praying.
He's praying.
Thank
Sorry.
you. I'm like, that's the most sacrosanct thing you can say that will keep him out of trouble, maybe.
Hey, what are you doing?
Mark! Don't.
Mark? I thought it was Rufino. Training. Can't even stop it.
You keep thinking that distance...
Don't talk to me like you know me.
The wounds from your father's murder from reopening. You don't tell her because you know that if you do, she'll see you exactly as you see yourself, as unworthy of love.
My God, do we have time for this?
Well,
I hope you guys didn't need that sarcophagus. Sorry. Wait, this budgetary Cruz just kind of grabbed him like, let's run away now. Oh, that's a good bodyguard because my ass would have been gone. You standing there with your shirt blowing in the breeze.
Buy me some time.
I can do that.
Oh, that's a nice trick. Where did you even come from? Oh, you was killed by moonlight. You dare touch the cape? What's wrong with you? That's right, Layla. Let him know. You ain't no simp.
No, Mark.
I'm gonna need Steven to shut the hell up. I'm really getting tired of him. Like, these are not the times. Not this ugly ass suit again.
All right, time out. That's it, time out. Guys.
What? He said chill the F out.
The body. Take the body, Mark.
No, you know, if I was Mark, I'd be like, no, screw that. We gonna die right now because this is, you need to learn. You are so disrespectful. Got my boy stabbed up for what? Okay, no, budgetary Cruz gotta go right now. I knew it was a weapon. I just knew it. Yes, that's right. That's what you get for assaulting a lady. What is wrong with you? That's the power of love. He about to F all you up and you all deserve it. That's what you get for not wearing a shirt, bitch.
Tick-tock, Mark Spector. Tick-tock.
Don't you dare, sir. You did literally nothing to help me in that situation. You could have created some flashy lights or blew some people over with your breeze, but no. Khonshu, we need to talk.
You know, he's got this idea that he can see true nature of people. Some baloney like that.
He also kills children, so that should kind of nullify almost everything he says. Although he is telling the truth.
And then something else pops up, and it's like I've not known you at all.
Yeah. You haven't.
That happens more often than you know. Sorry, sis. That hurts a lot. I get it. It's kind of everyone's worst nightmare, actually, is to get married to someone and realize you never even met them.
It's gonna take forever.
Steven would probably be better at it.
We need Steven.
This is where Steven needs to come out, not in the fighting. Right here is where we need Steven. Sorry, sweetie, it's the truth.
All right, go ahead. You're in. Cheers. Thanks a lot. All right.
I like that. I like that they made a little bit of a smoother transition instead of like, the passing out this time. Because they really should be getting better at like switching back and forth at this point. And it'll also be a lot less traumatic. But this proves that they can get to that point where they can just get this symbiosis going.
Et voila.
Not the French. And it's a star. Well played. Looks a bit like the Star of David.
Oh, wait, hang on a minute. You see that?
Oh, cool.
So, unless we know exactly what the sky looked like on that date...
You have a god. Right there.
I remember that night.
Thank you. Someone who's eternal. There's something that's very peaceful about how barren and vast the desert is at night, but also terrifying. Kind of reminds me of space, even though I've never been there, but you know what I mean.
I can turn back the night sky.
Yeah.
It will come at a cost, and I cannot do it alone.
Oh, God, now what's it going to cost? You've already taken my life. Oh, okay, so we're going to lose Khonshu as a voice then. That is actually amazing. That is a cool-ass power. I ain't gonna lie. It's not quite Thanos crazy, but being able to turn back a night sky? That's baller. Poor people are like, what the F is happening? Egypt's like, I think this might be the end of the world, guys.
Is the night.
What a great shot. Wow. Oh, it's an arrow.
You brought this upon yourself, gotcha.
Shut up. So does that mean he's no longer going to be the Avatar? Well, that's probably the realest thing Khonshu's done so far. Oh, that's cool. Peace out, Khonshu. You were kind of an ass, so I'm not 100% mad at this. I'm just more upset that as you've kind of left my guy, Mark Steven Stark. Ooh, Stark. You kind of left him in a lurch.
Steven. Mark.
Anybody?
Can he hear us?
Of course.
We think so, yes.
He's gonna sit there and mock him, because I can tell he's that kind of raggedy bitch. But I am interested in what happened between Khonshu and Harrow, because there seems to be some beef, and it's probably legit on Harrow's part to some degree. It's easy to paint him as the villain right now, but...
Had you not broken me so completely, I owe my victory to you.
So that's a monster of your creating, hey, Khonshu? That's what I figured. All right, guys. Well, that was episode 3 of Moon Knight, which was called The Friendly Type. And wow, I think like this one was really cool. I actually liked seeing the interactions now more so between both Mark and Steven. But what I kind of like now is like we're kind of opening up the world a little bit more as far as like how big the scope of this situation is. We're getting insight into the other gods. We're starting to understand a little bit more about Mark's world / Khonshu's world, because we didn't get that in the first 2 episodes. It was very much, like I said, episode 1 was Steven's story. Episode 2 was getting a little more insight into how the Mark-Steven dynamic was established. And now we're seeing a little bit more of like the wider world that this affects. And even though we're only still in Egypt at the moment, like we were in England, now we're in Egypt, still very contained in some ways, but it's giving us an idea of the scale of this world in that we've got all these different avatars that are living in different parts of the world, living their day-to-day lives, but still these gods are having an effect on the world. And listening to the way that they were talking when they had their little convening of the meeting, I see now that, you know, it reminded me, like I said, of the Eternals, right? In the sense of these people who have a crazy amount of power, but they've chosen to step back from humanity and not interfere in anything and kind of just have their avatars, you know, do a little something here, do a little something there. But for all intents and purposes, basically their hands are up, they're standing back and letting humanity do its worst or its best. And that interesting comment that was made where Khonshu said that, you know, you abandoned humanity and I haven't. And they're like, no, humanity abandoned us. It reminds me a lot of kind of that whole idea around What's the movie I'm thinking of now? Or actually, not show. It kind of reminds me of if you guys are familiar with the show and the book American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I'm not going to get into the whole synopsis of it, but basically, it's the idea that all of the gods, you have your old gods, which are like Norse mythology gods, Native American gods, like ones that have been around thousands of years, versus new gods, which are represented by like technology and kind of all these new things that have come up in the 20th century. But the whole point of it is that you hear these old gods saying that they lost their power because people stopped believing in them. And kind of this whole idea around like religion and belief and how it's true. Like, thousands of years ago, religions, whether they were organized religions or just belief systems in a certain kind of god or deity, they used to be massive parts of life. Like, it dictated everything a society did. So they had a lot of power, right? These gods had a lot of power over the people and over the course of the world. But as, humanity evolved and grew and spread out and new ideals formed, now the idea, we see now that a lot of people don't have any type of religious affiliations or even belief in God, or they just kind of feel like they have to depend on themselves alone. So the power of religion has waned significantly in the last, like, I'd say 100 years or so. And so this idea that the gods have been weakened by a lack of belief is kind of the same thing that I'm seeing here. Like, these Egyptian gods are like, people look at us now as kind of like a mythology, right? We're not even considered to be real anymore to people. So why should we help them anymore? Why should we still exert ourselves if humanity doesn't really care about us anymore? So we're just going to sit back, stay out of the way, and like let humanity think that that's exactly what we are, as myths. But it looks like Khonshu said, nah, like humanity's still messed up. Plus there are gods like apparently like Amit, who is still out there doing some crazy stuff. And I think we haven't gotten the full story on Amit and how she ended up entombed or anything like that. But we did find out that she was entombed or punished because she did something that the gods all agreed was wrong, and that they hid the location of her tomb on purpose, so that she couldn't be unearthed and brought back by her followers. And it looks like Amit was probably one of those crafty ones, right? Like, she clearly was making sure she had lots of, like, the fact that her followers are doing what they are doing now says that Amit was very smart, made sure that there are lots of different chess pieces all around the world to keep her from completely being what's the word I'm looking for? From completely having her dismissed, right? Because that's exactly why we now have Harrow and all these followers who even now are going through all these steps, all of this work, all these feats that they're accomplishing. Because you think about it, the fact that they're all over the world, that they had that whole town in Europe basically taken over, that they're able to start a whole excavation project in Egypt. Like, these things cost money, it takes power, it takes string pulling. Like, clearly Amit was no joke. Like, she definitely was someone who planned for how she would be able to get herself out of a situation like this. And so it sounds like she was pretty powerful. She was very smart, and the gods definitely did not like the way that she acted, but we still don't know what she did. I don't know if it's that they punished her because she was still going around doing crazy stuff, like offing kids for potentially doing something wrong later, but it's enough that the gods know that there's something wrong and that she should have been in prison. But it's kind of interesting to me that they don't take it seriously that her followers would still exist, or that they would try to exhume the body. Like, it shows the arrogance, right? That they're just like, oh yeah, no, clearly the humans couldn't have possibly found this. But it's like, apparently they're not so useless. Like, humans have come a long way. And again, oh, that's right, he didn't bring the staff with him to that meeting. So maybe they don't know that he's got that relic of Amit's that's allowing him to bring these godlike things into the world and risking exposure, all the things that they're saying they don't want. So it looks like these gods, even though they still do exist in this council, it seems like they're very oblivious to what's been going on. It seems like they've kind of just faded. Like, what was the word that Khonshu used? Like, you're in your opulence or something like that. Like, they're just kind of sitting there chilling, letting their avatars do something here and there. But for the most part, it looks like they're really not paying attention. And Khonshu is the only one who is. And while, like I said last episode, I think that Khonshu is still very problematic, I think that we can say so far safely that he and the goddess of love, I can't remember her name now, they still seem to care a lot about humanity. And that's probably why they still were friends and still had a bond of some sort, despite everything going sideways between them, or between him and the rest of the gods. So, I think we're going to see her again. Clearly, I think she's going to be someone that's going to help out, because now I'm really curious as to what's going to happen to Mark and Stephen now that Khonshu's been bound to that room, or bound to Egypt, I guess. So I'm thinking maybe the power is not completely gone, because we saw that the suit was still somewhat on Stephen, but he is you know, it's the mask was gone. He definitely looks like he kind of passed out from maybe a lack of power. So yeah, I think that there might be still some semblance of Khonshu's power that'll be left, but maybe nowhere near what it was when he was able to be free and roam around. And maybe he'll lose that power if he ever leaves Egypt. We'll have to see how that all works. But yeah, outside of that, we kind of just had more on Layla. I think that this episode was a little bit more to give us an idea of what's going on with Layla, who she is, not just to Mark, but also who she is overall. Because it's like last episode, she very much kind of seemed like maybe she was just a wife who fell into this life with Mark, but it looks like she too has her side hustle, shall we call it. It looks like she's been looking at relics and selling relics and dealing in that market long before her and Mark got together. In fact, that's probably how they got together, although they haven't talked about that yet. But we're seeing there's more layers to her thanks to Harrow's little reading there. Apparently she's trying to rectify something that happened with her father. It's a bit of a backstory there, but my guess is that, like I said, her and Mark probably coincide or cross paths because they had a similar target for something they were going after, and then of course they just kind of ended up falling for each other. And now, you know, poor Layla is dealing with the fact that she really did not know the full extent of who Mark is at all. Obviously, there's, you know, she knew enough, and whatever is that they had that had them fall in love, I'm sure is still very much there. But like she said, like, it's like every time I learn something new, I realize there's so much about you I didn't know. And of course, as a wife, that's the most hurtful thing. Like I said in the episode, I think the scariest thing anybody would ever feel is that they didn't actually know the person that they were laying next to for years, right? So I think that it's something where, as the show goes on, I feel like Mark is going to come clean at some point, but I understand why he kept it to himself. It's not an easy thing to tell someone that you think you have another personality or two living inside your head. We all know in this society that mental illness is still something that's viewed with a lot of stigma. So, you know, I think that she's kind of oversimplifying by saying that they could get through it together. But at the same time, Mark didn't really ever give her the choice to see if she could handle it, because it sounds like maybe she could. But again, as he said too, it was under control up until a few days ago. So there's still so many questions around why it suddenly broke, why these two now have this kind of wavering, you know, a door between who's who, and why they have to kind of give over control back and forth. But one thing this episode showed is that they absolutely need each other, because it doesn't seem like Mark, the part of Mark that accesses that brain doesn't seem to be the same part that can read hieroglyphics and speak multiple languages and figure out all these puzzles, and all that stuff is going to be necessary for them to get through this. So I do think, like I said, since episode 1, they're definitely going to have to figure out a way to symbiotically work back and forth. We saw in this episode that they can switch back and forth a little less violently. So now that they can do that, I think that they could figure out a way to make this work without it kind of creating such a scene the way it has in the past, and without it necessarily breaking Mark or Steven when they do it. But again, we also heard there might be a third party, literally a third person in the party, I should say. It's turning into a party now, because a few times when there was a blackout, we assumed that they'd switch between each other, but both Steven and Mark said that neither of them did the things that that person did. So I think someone in my comments said that there was 3 personalities in the comics. It looks like we might have gotten our first introduction to them kind of informally, but that's a little scary because we haven't seen or heard anything of that person yet, and we don't know what they're about, but that person did kill. So maybe that is the part that's kind of like the gotta get it done side of this whole situation. But it's becoming more and more interesting, and I'm liking that we're learning more and more about these personalities and figuring out how they're all kind of turning into puzzle pieces that all have to kind of be together to make this whole Moon Knight situation work. So yeah, good episode. Again, I really liked it. I love the scenery. I love the way they're shooting it. There were some really good action sequences, great cinematography this episode, but again, some really great conversations around relationships, mental illness, and trauma that I think is going to be a recurring theme throughout this show. And I think that's very important when you're dealing with such a sensitive topic. So I very much enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed watching along with me. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and we will see you in the next video.